We're here with Matt Wilson, who is the CEO of Light and Wonder. And Matt, I'm going to begin this interview in what has become the customary fashion.
Yes.
And say, wow, you guys continue to do it. Once again, you've got a company that the stock price keeps reaching new highs or is near new highs. A balance sheet that a few years ago was an albatross is now an instrument strong enough to finance returns to shareholders. And you continue to grow market share. And so how do you do it, and how much more is left to do?
Yeah, it's great to be back with you again, a year older, hopefully a year wiser, and a year more advanced on the strategy. We've come a long way as an organization from that company that I joined nearly 5 years ago now, called Scientific Games, and now Light and Wonder, which I hope after 3 years of doing this rolls off the tongue and feels like an appropriate name for our company. Does it feel natural now?
Well, it's the wonder part is certainly has become that for sure.
Yeah, I think we touched on it last year. I think it's really the simplicity of the strategy which has really set us up for success. That idea of shedding those non-core assets with lottery and sports, and really just becoming a focused company around building great games that players want to play and customers want to buy, and taking it to these three, what I always call unique but complementary businesses. And so I think there's a huge amount of runway left in this idea. And I think I mentioned it on our session last year. It's like a business that values a lack of complexity. We just want to wake up every day obsessed about building the world's greatest games and taking them to players across these three channels.
One of the things, even in a lack of complexity, one piece of complexity that is driving this industry ever faster is technology.
Yep.
And of course, artificial intelligence has become the buzzword of the year in almost every industry. How is L&W maintaining the edge on innovation and technology?
Yeah, probably in a few ways. I think one that you can see ever present on gaming floors when you walk casino floors like you see here is the advancement you see in hardware technology, the quality of screens, the edge lighting, the graphics, the sounds, the animations. I think sometimes as an industry, we're a little too close to it. We don't see the rapid pace of change that if you kind of open the aperture up a little bit and say, where were we 10 years ago versus where we are today, it's night and day in terms of the quality of the technology that you see on gaming floors. I think AI is an interesting concept for industries all over the world. I think in our industry, it's limited to a few use cases at the moment, which is about kind of concept generation. So being able to bring out new versions of art very quickly, conceptually, to build prototypes for games. That's how we utilize it effectively in the land-based business. We also use it in different areas around social casino. So that's a business that's a very retail-driven business. It's about driving customized, unique offers to different players. So we definitely use AI in that capacity. But I always say our industry is a creative industry, and AI is a supporting cast to the creatives. It really is, that limited number of people in the organization who are actually building these games that are kind of the bright spark that makes these industries what they are. So I think it's a supporting cast to what we do. Probably the last bit of area that I would suggest that we're utilizing technology to stay ahead of the games is at the moment our business is built around this simple idea of build a game and then take it to these three distinct channels. At the moment, the way we build that is we build it for each of the individual businesses separately. We build the idea once, but then we build the technology 3 times. We're investing in a platform that allows us to build a game one time and very efficiently port it to all 3 of our channels. So I think that's another area where we're staying ahead of the game. No one's as advanced as we are on that vertical. So yeah, technology certainly plays a role in making sure the industry keeps moving forward.
Technology aside, it is all about the games, as they say.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about your game development.
Yeah, so it's an area that we continue to invest in. We, like many in the industry, peg R&D as a percentage of revenue. So as the business scales, you automatically have more R&D dollars looking to find a home. There's a few different ways to spend those R&D dollars. Technology is one of those, but scaling our studios is an important part of that. And there's two ways to scale your studios. It's either you add more resources to your existing studios, which we're absolutely doing, but there's a lid on how many great ideas a game designer can work on at any point in time. So that those dollars can only go so far. Once you kind of reach that lid, then you start to invest in incremental studio capacity. So excited to say we have a new studio coming online in Reno at the moment, led by a lady called Kelsey Foster, who was IGT's biggest producing studio for a long time. We've started a new premium studio around her and her team up in Reno. She started, I call it 3 weeks ago now. So just excited to see kind of a new stable coming in to the organization to build more games. But we cover the globe. We have great studios in Australia, studios locally here in Las Vegas, in Chicago. We have a studio in Sweden in the iGaming world. We have studios in the UK. So really across every continent, we've got great creative minds building great games. Probably the other interesting thing about our organization, so Light & Wonder is a kind of new incarnation of an old company that was really joined by these titans of industry, Bally's and WMS and Shufflemaster, who all uniquely had their own IP under the hood. So if you have a look at the booth upstairs today and tomorrow, it's really what we're bringing to life is these new evolutions of great games that were, had their evolutions or their genesis as part of Bally or WMS or Scientific Games for that matter. So yeah, lots of kind of great IP coming out of the organization and new incarnations of those great games.
You mentioned the companies that through merger went into the creation of Light & Wonder. A lot of folks think that we are ripe for another cycle of consolidation in that supplier games technology space. Where does Light & Wonder fit into that?
Yeah, we're probably the odd man out or odd woman out in the context of, we're not going through a wave of consolidation ourselves. That's a lived experience for us. That was us, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, many of our competitors are going through that wave of consolidation. And I think curiously, a few of them being taken private, which I think speaks to the quality of the assets. Private equity are smart money. They see value and they step in. And I think what private equity sees in the supplier part of the industry are robust businesses that are highly cash generative and resilient in economic down cycles, should we have one. So I think private equity stepping in and making a play at AGS and IGT and every is a great thing for the industry because it just speaks to the quality. I think sometimes investors particularly in the US market are fixated on operators first and suppliers second, which is a big part of the reasons why we did a secondary listing on the ASX is to bring us into the spotlight in that market as well with investors that really appreciate the supplier part of the industry. I think that's what the Australian investors focus primarily on, majorly as a consequence of Aristocrat's success over the years, but they're hyper focused on the supplier side, and for that very reason, resilient. They insulated somewhat from the economic cycles and highly cash generative. So great businesses.
You might not be involved in M&A in terms of whole corporations merging, but would there be some tuck-ins that you might see?
Yeah, the balance sheet's in a really healthy spot at the moment. We're kind of right in the middle of our 2.5 to 3.5 times range. We're right at 3 times levered. The business is highly cash generative, so it naturally delevers quarter after quarter as we produce financial results. Back to this idea that if we can find assets that support our vision, then we'd absolutely pursue them. But again, I think part of the brilliance of the strategy that we've unlocked here and the value we've unlocked is simplification, going back to basics and building games players want to play and customers want to buy, and not having this convoluted portfolio of businesses that are all trying to be world-class at a myriad of things. We're a games business and a technology business, and so where we can find the right targets that fit within that vision, then we'd absolutely look at that. But in no hurry to convolute the portfolio and go back to where we were as Scientific Games. We want to stay focused to who we are and what we're great at.
You're also a systems company.
True.
Which is where maybe technology and AI come in.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big part of our business. We've been a market leader in that space for a long time, and that is also about supporting land-based casino operators. That technology also extends to iGaming operators as well. So we have solutions that we're deploying across both of those verticals in the B2B space. There's also this notion that we have an amazing B2C business in SciPlay, which has all of these elements that are noticeably absent on gaming floors and also in operators in the iGaming space, kind of these meta features, these engagement tools. And so we think we're nicely placed to drive some thinking across land-based operators and iGaming operators that we've learned and adapted in the digital ecosystem around SciPlay. So you'll see, if you come onto the booth, a facilitation of land-based slot machines, driving players into the social casino and looking for ways to monetize that with land-based casino operators. So we've got a great leader in John Wolf, who we acquired through House Advantage, who's leading the charge with systems. So yeah, that's really about how do we get the next wave of cashless out? How do we get the next wave of player engagement tools out? So he's a great leader in driving a lot of great thinking there, and we think there's an opportunity for us to take the mantle.
Talking about your booth,
Yes.
we're here at G2E for everyone to display their best and newest products. What are one or two of the must-sees at your booth this year?
Yeah, I think there's one great new cabinet that we're launching called the Cosmic Upright. The Cosmic Portrait product has been the number one cabinet in the marketplace for the last year. We're bringing out a new version with the Upright cabinet. And there's probably 3 titles on there that I'm really excited about. I think there's a Dancing Drums triple pot game out there that's getting great feedback from our customers upstairs. There's an Ultimate Firelink triple pot game as well, which is getting great notoriety on the gaming floor today. And then there's an Invaders of Planet Moolah version that's been done by our Chicago team. So 3 great families there that I think are priced to perfection on a new bit of hardware that are all, like I mentioned earlier, new incarnations of great legacy brands that have come out of these incredible businesses that formed part of Light & Wonder. So that's the cabinet and the game that I'll give you.
Okay, well, that's a great overview. Anything else you think folks should know about Light & Wonder?
No, I mean, we continue to grow as an organization. So I think the best is yet to come for us. We've been on an amazing upswing over the last few years. We've got a great team that's galvanized. We're market leaders. We're ambitious people. And I think we were talking about baseball earlier because it's October baseball right now. Yeah. We're in the very early innings of the success and growth of this company, so much more to come.
By the way, it's Red October to us Phillies fans.
Blue October to me. Go the Dodgers.
Thank you.
Frank, I appreciate you. Thank you.